As AI rewrites the reality for billions of people around the world, our next guest says that gender-blind algorithms used to train large language models are becoming a balance sheet problem, not just a PR problem. Shubhi Rao joins us, founder and CEO of Uplevyl. Shubhi, very interesting comments. Just explain, because we know that the code's been written by a number of people in Silicon Valley and beyond, mostly male. What's the impact of that, and what are you seeing in some of your research?
Well, you all just put out a research a couple of days ago, and that basically said that $124 trillion will be moving, right, that the great wealth transfer. But at the same time, what is also happening is a number of advisors, especially in the United States, we're going to be losing over 110,000 over the next few years. AUM is growing each year by 12%. And lastly, the Schwab CEO just announced this most recently, which was that anything sub $1 million will be managed by AI advisors. And I say this as part of the background is because when you think about now the data sets that will be powering these AI advisors, this is where we now need to pause and think, because how is AI trained? Well, you need the data sets, and those data sets are historical data sets. And when you look at the historical data sets, historically, we had male advisors and male clients, and that is the overwhelming data set. Now, of course, the demographics are shifting, and as they shift more towards women because of this great wealth transfer, widowhood being one of those big events, how do these data sets serve the underserved women?
You're touching on something that doesn't just hit the sector. It's actually a greater issue as we now talk about an AI future. And it was something that came up last week when I was at VivaTech, that now you've got these large language models, you've got algorithms there that we're all working and we're all using. But there could be a different way to run AI, that we could be trained on the world around us, which would be interesting because obviously the world around us is changing, and even to the point around the gender balance, the demographics here. Is there a way that you see the balance coming back away from large language models?
Yeah, I think we think about large language models also to be able to address very specific use cases. And I think the large language models are phenomenal. What they've done is groundbreaking. Having said that, they were trained on the data sets that are, it's the internet. We use the internet to train. But what does the internet reflect? It's 60% of that data is Reddit, which skews pretty male. Wikipedia, over 90% of the authors are male. And so when you start to look at that, it's just overwhelmingly, it skews one way. But that's okay, because the breakthrough is huge. But what that allows us is to use those computational models from those large foundational models and create vertical LLMs like what we are doing, which is to go away and build those either first-party gender data sets or work and license the right data sets so that they start to reflect the lived experiences of women. So when you think about motherhood, caregiving, divorce, widowhood, those lived experiences and outcomes of women are just different. And so you need to be very intentional and thoughtful to go and build those data sets, such that then you can still use the underlying models, like in many ways what Anthropic is doing, but have specialized LLMs to be able to address the needs.
And yet it's not just about historical data, is it? It's about the bias in the engineers creating the LLMs now as well. And then let's go to what has been the elephant in the room over the last year, and that is the fact that there are certain AI agents and models that are sexualizing images that are actually positively biased in favor of those kind of images and actually denigrating women just by the DNA of these models as well. There is a problem with the people who are leading this, isn't there?
So there are two things, right, when you build this, I mean, when it comes down to it, really two things: data sets and training of the algorithm. And one of the most important choices you need to make, not slap it on later because of regulations, is trust and security and privacy, and how you can build those guardrails. So since we build through the gender lens, that is something that we build as part of our entire tech stack, and how we train the algorithms, how we think through all of the various workflows, right? So you can design it that way. And although we do say that what we're building is for gender data sets, once you build for the hardest and the most, let's say, fragile population, it can work for everyone. But if you go the other way, then of course what you have done is you've skewed it and you're not thinking about the safety, privacy, security that you need to have built in from day one.
But that's a great answer, but you haven't answered part of my question, which is, isn't there a bias in the people leading, the biggest LLM creators out there who are leading this in a way where they are ambivalent to the sexualization of the product?
Look, there is a big force at play here. It's called capitalism, right? And so
which is dominated by men, dominated by male programmers. I read that algorithmic and machine learning developers, representation for women is as low as 13.8% as well. It doesn't seem that we can trust men to create a product which is looking at it equally from a sexuality point of view, from a race point of view, and from all other points of views.
Which is unfortunate because it is a market, it's a big market, right? I mean, that's where we started out. Yeah. It's a huge market if we can really serve women. But again, it goes back to lived experiences, really having that empathy and understanding and really seeing that opportunity set. But capitalism will, I mean, if you really go back and think about the entire model that we have, it is around data extraction. Whether any product you look at, it is about bringing billions of eyeballs into a platform, extracting that data, packaging that data, advertising dollars, right? Like that, and they come in different forms, but billions, trillions of dollars.
My final question before Karen comes in with all the smart questions again is what you're saying is actually rather enormous. Capitalism is biased against women.
That's right. It has been, right? I mean, we're
still in the 21st century, in 2026.
It is, yeah, exactly. And we still, I mean, we see it, I think technology has made it much more transparent. But even if you think of bricks and mortar, you know, I would look at my career having to work on the other, I mean, I was on the corporate side, but working with Wall Street, it's there, it's everywhere. It's in our physical world, it's there.
Yeah.
I want to tackle how some of this gets solved and how we could see platforms change from here, because the platforms have done enormous work getting to where they are, and the next priority is an IPO for a lot of them. But they could just build in other features where they concentrate on women's safety, women's health, other issues that are more important to women. Why can't big companies like Anthropic and OpenAI just simply build that into the large language model?
Because there's so many forces, right, that are competing. You want a lot of eyeballs. What happens, though, is that, as you were saying, these sexualized images, etc., they create higher engagement, more time on the platform, right? These are metrics that we're measuring. And as long as we continue to measure those kind of metrics, then, of course, you're going to skew that way because bigger profit margins. So it all comes down to dollars and cents.
But this is not adding up for me. So if you use, and I know a lot of people are using ChatGPT for sort of basic things, say styling, for instance. Women are very interested in that. A lot of money has been sold on women's fashion over the years. It's a very big e-commerce channel. It's a very big distribution when it comes to print and editorial. This is something that some of the platforms have lent into and actually really quite good at. I don't understand how that is not profitable and how it's not a focus for some of the platforms.
Because, again, if we could got more women onto these platforms, and in terms of they have a seat at the desk, whether it's the product or the engineering side or building of the algorithms, those viewpoints, like exactly what you're saying, there was another one of you sitting at the, we'll bring that in. But if you have a whole bunch of, but tech bros sitting around the table, where are those perspectives going to come in? So this isn't about, for the sake of DEI, we got to have women, or no, we need different perspectives, exactly what you're saying. We need those voices in the room, and that's what is missing today.
Not simply just scraping the internet for what exists out there already.
Correct, yes.
Shubhi, lovely to see you. I mean, it's quite damning in the industry, quite frankly, and it's horrendous. But I'm glad we're shining a light on that bias as well. So thank you for doing that.
And thank you so much for having me here today. A pleasure.
You are very welcome. Shubhi Rao, who is the founder and CEO of Uplevyl.
Meantime, coming up on the show, Russian President Vladimir Putin